What's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is Skork engine and I'll be talking a bit about how it looks at the moment, some of the changes made recently, and yeah, let's get started. So within the past 3 weeks, the last 2 weeks I didn't do much. I started something major, which I'll talk about later in the video, regarding the Skork framework. And I started, adding some things to get some people familiar with the solution. Now I got a lot of questions about this, so I'm going to go ahead and start answering some of it. Many people have started to see my link to the Skork engine. I started to distribute it, ask people, not ask people, but tell them to check it out just to see what it is. Basically read the README. That's about it. See what they think and stuff. And I got a lot of confusion between, what the 3 projects were. So I'm not the best communicator. I'm still working on that. But basically what it is I have 3 distinct repositories. So one of them being this one. It's the Windows-based GUI implementation of the Skork framework. This refers to this repository that we're looking at right now. This is open source. It's Apache 2.0. You pretty much can do everything, in accordance to the license, as mentioned here. And so this is the license. Again, you can do all this stuff. At the moment, this is subject to change. And also, the Skork engine framework itself. So it's private. It's not. There's a repository, but it's not public. And so there's a confusion. Like, what's the difference between these two? So essentially, in layman, as best as I can explain, this is just a private project that has code that this repository, this project, will be using. That code, for example, is like code in the string class. You get to use code in the string class, but you don't have access to its source. And for good reason, right? It's not important, the source to you. And also maybe for security. I actually don't think if string is private. I think it is public. But there are certain things that are private. For example, data access layers, data connectivity. Those parts of a project should never really be open source. So you need to be careful. So that's hidden away in the framework because this is a data-driven project. So yeah, anyways guys, now that I got that out of the way, hopefully that explains. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comments or ask me some other way you can communicate with me. But I will show you, after resolving some issues, what it looks like right now. So I have a login screen. Just to bypass, you press login. And over here is our code window. And on the right side here is going to be generating the image. So I'm going to go ahead and do int I equals 0. And at the moment, I have it parsing a little bit of the code. There's some issues like creating this empty message box that I'm not going to even bother looking into right now because I haven't worked on the parsing yet. I'm just using old code and I didn't even like refactor or anything at this point. But at the moment, I just have a few context menu items to kind of debug. That's all this is right now. So let me explain that. Right now, the GUI implementation, the things that I'm pushing through, right now I'm in the login UI module branch. The things I'm pushing are basically me testing the framework. So here's the framework, guys. Here's the Skork API. It's going to look a lot different if you've paid a good amount of attention to my last video. I don't expect much people to, but it's there if you want. Essentially, I used to have a single project within the Skork API solution. And basically everything was broken down into different namespaces or folders, if you will. This is how .NET structure is. You have namespaces to separate the concerns a little bit through namespacing. However, I went a step further and separated it so much to have individual projects for certain things. Now you can see there's a family of Skork.language projects, and all of these work together. So everything that has the same family kind of works together in a way. Skork.data does not work with many other of these. Logging will be completely individual. I think data might rely on exceptions because I'll throw some certain exceptions. But other than that, it's pretty standalone. The Skork engine right here that doesn't have these Skork dot prefix is the project that references all the other projects. So this is where I build. I will build this unique project and get all the DLLs. What I ended up doing temporarily in the Skork engine, I will stop debugging for a second, is I temporarily added this for anyone interested to start using some of the code. Again, there's not a lot there, and it might be very confusing because there's so many projects already with so many class files that a lot of them don't do much. But it's kind of like that right now. And yeah, at the moment, I just added all the DLLs that you'll need. And at the moment it builds, I will push this so people can try this out. But again, like I said, everything that you see is a work in progress. And of course, I'm using this GUI implementation that's open source just to debug the framework, because the framework is all DLLs. They're not, there's no start point, there's no entry point for any of this stuff at the moment. So I have to test it in an external application because I don't want to create a testing project in here at the moment. Not referring to NUnit, unit testing, that I will be doing very, very soon. But just in terms of the GUI implementation, I'm not doing that within this framework project. Now, when I start getting further and further with the development of this project within the year or so, coming year, I will be starting to do my debugging in here. I'll create a new project where I'll start debugging all those features and stuff, and not do that in the main one, because that will actually have working code and people will be able to use it. So, you know, there are things for that. But anyways, I recently created the Skork plain property service for you guys, and basically instantiates this static property with these fields: the Skork width, the sprite width and height, and the primary and secondary color of the plane. And you basically get to use that with it within the program. At the moment, I have 3, again, those context menus that you see. Here's the code for them. Let me pull it up here. Right here is the menu clean item. It just calls a compile service to convert code into list. So again, that's no parsing at all. So that's why we probably saw the extra message box there. So yeah, it's not even compiling anything. It's just attempting to, well, it is technically parsing, but it's not. All the functionality isn't there quite yet. So just keep that in mind. And I'm trying to create I'm going to be doing this pretty soon, but I'm going to create this custom action here that's going to use reflection so you'll be able to type in so at the moment it doesn't work, but you will be able to type in a method name and to use within generate plain class, and it's going to invoke that method on generate plain. So it's kind of used for, you know, I don't have to create extra menu items when I test. I can just type in the name of the method, give it its parameter list, and, you know, run it that way. For visually debugging, that is. You know, this does not refer to NUnit testing. That is separate. That's a separate concern. But yeah, I am looking forward to continue working on the project. Again, not much has been done, but this is a good starting point for a video. And I'll be pushing these code changes, and you guys will definitely be seeing that very shortly. So thank you again for watching, guys. I will try to update you as much as I can, you know, with the time I get recording. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out now. I forgot to add what I was doing within the Skork framework. I'm currently, so the temporary solution I mentioned before was adding this dependency folder with all the DLLs. what I'm going to end up doing is adding a NuGet package source, or just adding a NuGet package for all of this stuff. There'll be a single one that contains all of it called Skork Engine Framework, and there'll be one that individually contains each one. So you can build with certain parts of the framework. This one will not be open as a standalone, I think, because it's, you know, data access layer stuff. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly the full design. Again, the design is being worked on at the moment. So if you ever want to learn more about that, I highly suggest you look at the projects. Over here, we have Skork Engine WPF, and here is the projects for that. And I'll be creating the framework here, even though that's a different repository. But since it's private, I want you guys to be able to see the agile board within it. So I'm going to go ahead and create that at some point, and then you guys will be able to see the progress there. Again, most of the progress is in the framework. It's not open source, so many of the changes go unnoticed, but yeah, that's about it. I do want to show you kind of the folder structure before you go. There's a lot of different folder structures within here. For example, exceptions has 3 different folders and even more within. So it's very, very organized, and very happy about that. Lots of verbs there, sorry about that. Just very exciting stuff. And again, using very, again, exciting. So we have plenty of stuff here to look at, but I'm not going to go into too much details with them, again, because things are changing rapidly within this environment. But yeah, I cannot wait to show you some of the code within here. I will do that in the next video, where I show some of the framework code, because that's a treat to my YouTube viewers. Get to see that code, and also if I'm, you know, kind of asking for advice or something, that's also a great way to do it. Again, I would love to open source this project, this portion, but I think it's best to keep it private due to the data-driven aspect of it. So maybe later in the future, Skork language projects will be open source, but some of the other stuff might not. But at the moment, they're all not open sourced within the framework. But, you know, things like that can easily change, so not a problem. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out now.